There we go. Pop into channel. There we go. New live started. Edit video. Fix that. Fix that. Task Force Red. Tucson, AZ. Oh, here we go. Installation disclaimer. There we are. Let's pop that in there. Excellent. Fix that. KO Knives back again. Right on, man. All right, let's change that. Let's add the image in here. And put us in our tags and save. Done. Oh, just we weren't getting anybody feeding in, Omar, so I'm starting a new live, and we're going to see if we can play with the algorithm a little bit. I don't like doing that too much, but every once in a while I'll give it a shot. Because usually my peak numbers are between half an hour and 45, where I'll get hundreds or, you know, at least dozens of people in, and for some reason... It also could just be me following a suspension, YouTube doing its shadow BS. Even though I was acquitted. But two-way is the way, baby. I need a glass of water. I need to get a pegboard and do what some other guys are doing and just get some builds up on that pegboard. Oh, nice. I'll go check that out. And California, really demanding a background check for detachable barrels is just ludicrous. Oh, that's right. You do late hour ones. I haven't done a long one in quite some time. There we go. Let's go pop open Instagram. Messages. Everyone who should be asleep for work joins mine. Ooh, nice. That's cool looking. You know, every now and then I think whatever happened to my British Commando knife that I got when I was overseas. It's somewhere. It's in a box somewhere. It's a funny story. We had some cool British dudes at the same base we were at. And I recognized British rank structure. So me being enlisted, I saw a captain of the British Army. And I gave him a salute because we were in a salute area. And he was astonished. An American saluted him. I'm like, well, yeah, we're allies, whatever. I explained that. And he's like, hey, join us on this weekend. You know, gave me a time and location. I'm like, okay, I'll go check it out, whatever. Dudes had beer, brandy, fish and chips. Great hangout spot, and I got a knife. And then, of course, we invited them over to one of our, you know, grill outs, and fun dudes. Canadians, too. Australians. Fun guys. A lot of people. Norwegians, French, Germans, Kuwaitis, Saudis. Who else did we have there? A lot of people. A lot of different countries. The Spanish. Oh, and the Turks, yeah. We didn't get along too well. Guys from our units and their units kept getting into fights. Sometimes I'm sure it was just boredom, but other times, you know, dude was asking for it. Yeah, there was an incident. I'm not gonna go into it, but it was bad, and it kind of soured everyone's perception of everything going on at the time. Afterwards, let's just say some Spanish troops should have avoided the United States Marine Corps with, you know, all caution, post haste. Should have avoided them as much as possible. Because it was fight on sight, like, every time. And the Army, too, but mostly, yeah, the Marines, like, went out of their way to go beat the crap out of those dudes. And not the first time we've had incidents involving the Spanish troops. I know some dudes who were over in frickin' Afghanistan that, yeah, same issues. Local Arizona knife companies. None that I'm really familiar with, but heck, let's take a look. Medford Knife and Tool up in Phoenix. Ravencrest Tactical in Mesa. Milmac Blades, also known as Copper State Knife Company. Desert Forge Knives. Dawson Knives. And Don Nguyen Knives. Which I believe Nguyen is a Vietnamese name. Oh, hey, they're in Tucson. Oh, they make kitchen cutlery, though. That's not really... Desert Forge makes custom hunting and field knives. Oh, okay. Yeah, like, that's some of the stuff they got going on. Nope, looks like the algorithm just hates me. That's okay. We'll chat it up. Oh, the guy who was in it was on Forged in Fire. Okay, that's cool. And is part of the American Bladesmith Society. He is known for his crafted Damascus copper hunting knives. And he is a hunter. Neat. I mean, I carry, a knife, but I don't carry anything fancy or good, really. It's just carry Gerber multi-tool. I carry that definition knife I have. My Gerber, I had when I was deployed. That thing's beat to shit. Hey, Spirit Triggers is sending me something. What's going on? Righteous. Yeah, we'll share that. Send. Boom. Done. Well, I can't remember if tonight is going to be Rumble with DLD After Dark or if it's tomorrow night. Don't know. There is a gun show going on this weekend. I'm debating going. But I also kind of want to just spend some time with the family, so... I think Sunday we're going to go out and go to like a pumpkin patch or something with the kids. So that'll be fun. Gotta spend some time with the family. Though I do really want to go to this gun show. It just, I wasn't sure I was going to have the time off, and now I kind of do, sort of. It's not too far away. I can probably get there. Question is, how much time do I have? Not sure. But anyway, thanks for everyone joining us. Welcome to Stiffler Manufacturing, where we turn bars of steel into gun slides. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. We are Arizona-based, veteran-owned and operated. Just a small shop. Oh, chat may be broken. Chat could be broken. I'm not getting any comments, really. Yeah, let's do a quick little refresh. See if I can see what's up. One moment. We'll see if we can fix. Okay, let's see if this reconnect fixed the issue. Hey, Peo. And I can't pronounce the rest. Yes, we do. We mill these slides out of 17.4 stainless steel. And we do all of the Cerakote work in-house. No, we don't do any porting services. We do have ported barrels that we source from ELD Performance. But I would recommend probably Superior Triggers. I believe they've gotten into ported barrels. They were doing some laser porting a while back. I think they might offer that as a service now. Get in there, you. There we go. We just make slides, and then we procure parts. We've got SCT Manufacturing parts kits, ELD Performance barrels, standard, flush crown cut, threaded, ported, copper PVD, and I think we're getting some rainbow PVD in as well. Speaking of which, I got to talk to Samson Armory again. Just picked up the Shadow Systems, right on. Oh yeah, definitely. I'd put this one on the tan frame I have, but YouTube would have a conniption if I did. This is called our OD camo. And right now, all of our stripped slides are 15 to 20% off until the end of the month. So if you pick one up before November 1st, 15 to 20% off. And we got a few other camo options as well. There's a forest green kind of camo. There's an Arctic camo. There's one we don't really have a name for. It's like black background camo. We got to come up with a name for it. I don't know what to call it yet. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Yep, this is our longest. We've never done one for a whole month before. I think before this, our longest sale was for a week. And yeah, this is our first one where we've done a sale all month long. And I think it's really helped some people, because some people, when our sale was going on, they were complaining about how they were waiting on a paycheck. And with it being a whole month long, it gives people more time to plan. Not that we can do a sale every month, all month long, Just let me know which one you're going to get. For example, if you get a Viper, you might need, it depends on your build, you might need a lighter recoil springs. So that's something to factor into your build, just because of the weight that's been reduced by 3 ported windows. Things like that. If you're planning on putting an optic on it, it's a Trigicon RMR flat optic cut. So if you have any questions, feel free. Back in the saddle. Finding someone with money is interesting. Yeah. We're all broke. We're all broke as heck. Terrell Ector, what's going on, brother? Welcome to Stiffler Manufacturing. Where 2A certainly is the way. So that's where it's going to be, huh? Ooh, there's a Waffle House next to it. I can go to Waffle House. Yeah. I don't know. I might go to this gun show this weekend. Let's see. Vendors across the United States, blah, 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 blah. Arizona Gun Radio. Okay. Who's all going to this shindig? I've had that happen once. Someone popped in my live and said, "How much for that knife?" and bought it within 20 minutes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've had that happen a few times, and I'm just like, dude, that's awesome. Thank you. Let's see, what's the schedule? Here we go. October, blah, 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 blah. Ah, here we go. They're going to tell me who's in attendance? Like, is there any big companies coming up? Who's going to be here? Hey, Bake Jeezy, what's going on, man? Nope, nothing for the 23 yet. Currently, we work on 19s and 17s, and we are finishing up our 26. After we do the 26, we're going to start working on a 43. And after that, I'm not sure. We might do a 23, we might do a 20 or a 21, because we do want to get a 40, a 45, and a 10 millimeter at some point. But we're not quite there yet. Just the slides. If we were working on frames, we'd probably need to get an FFL, unless we were doing 80%, well, was it 76% frames now? But yeah, just the slides at the moment. We do procure parts kits from SCT Manufacturing, and we do have barrels from ELD Performance. But the slides are all us. I don't like this gun show has like no information. It's just like show up, it's 2 days, here's the schedule. But there's no information on exhibits, there's no information on like who's going to be there, events. There's free parking though. Yeah, you could set a complete slide without an FFL. Yep, this is perfectly fine. Here's a complete, I mean, we don't do the optics, but yeah. No FFL needed. Yeah, pretty much, Pake. So, Glock is currently going under multiple lawsuits coming out of New Jersey. Let's see, I think Chicago. I think... You know, I'm going to look that up real quick. So, here we go. Yeah, Chicago, Seattle, Minnesota, and the entire state of New Jersey. Yeah, well, of course, the entire state of Minnesota as well. But yep, they are all suing Glock, and Glock is probably trying to get ahead, as well as, of course, they are trying to stop switches from being attached to their guns. So this V-Series, in theory, Glock hasn't released any information. This V-Series, in theory, would make it either more difficult or impossible to attach a switch to it. Now, in my opinion, Glock shouldn't have to do that because it's not Glock's fault that someone got a device and added it onto their product. A device that's illegal. It's not Glock's fault. They should. They should, Richard. And there's a few companies that are, not companies, there's a few groups that are, like Gun Owners of America, the Second Amendment Foundation, FPC, the NRA sometimes, some local groups like Citizens Defense Leagues for your, local state. But there's not enough people doing it. Most certainly, there's not enough. Because then you get like what happened with Polymer 80, where they just get sued into bankruptcy, where they just ran out of money to fight. I mean, there's going to be scalpers in every market, Terrell. Like, shit, there's scalpers in Pokemon cards. There's going to be scalpers with guns. Oop. Bumped my stand there. So yeah, in some areas I think Gen 3 and Gen 5 will probably go up in price, but that said, there's also millions of them out there, so it's probably not going to be an immediate jump. Especially in certain models. Like the more obscure ones, yeah, those are going to go up. But like the 19, probably not going to go up very much, at least at first. The 17, probably not very much. 43, well, 43 still get made, so that's fine. The 23 probably will, because Glock already chose to discontinue that before this happened. Yeah, Glock had a discontinuation list a while back, long before this happened. And basically they were getting rid of certain ammo types. 357 SIG, 40 cal, and a bunch of their Gen 4s. They were still keeping Gen 3 around because certain states made Gen 4 and Gen 5 illegal, like California. Honestly, my theory was that Glock was going to come out with their Gen 6 and it was going to be a new design that was patented so that the aftermarket could not touch it. And then they would discontinue everything else anyway. Like, they'd finish out whatever government contracts they have and then just push the Gen 6 on everybody. That's what I thought Glock was going to do. Make the Gen 6 a new design under a new patent that's protected for 20 years, and then just discontinue the old models. And, you know, it's not like Glock has ever, you know, purposefully, actively supported the aftermarket because they want people buying their product, right? It's just that they tolerated the aftermarket and their legal team was professional and answered questions to the aftermarket and ensured that people were doing things the legal and correct way. For example, we've spoken with Glock attorneys, very professional, very straightforward. And there's certain verbiage you can't use when you're creating aftermarket Glock style slides. You notice I said things like aftermarket Glock style. Hey, Green Hood Smoke, what's going on, man? Ooh. Pop my shoulder. Yeah, that's what I thought they were going to do, Terrell. Just, it made sense to me that that's what Glock would want to do. Push out the old market, but in a way, they're not really pushing out the old market because the aftermarket has enough support that there's companies making frames, there's companies making slides, there's companies making parts kits. Oh yeah, happy to be back on after YouTube's fumble. Hey Llama, yeah, still no YouTube love. Might take a few days. Because even though YouTube admitted they were wrong and should not have pulled our video and should not have canceled our live, we still ended up suspended for 24 hours anyway. Oh yeah, Glock has a legal team on retainer. Save 15% or more. What's going on, man? Yep, we mill these bars of steel into these slides. So these are slides we actually make. And then, of course, we do our own Cerakote work in-house. Big old bar of steel. It's a thick sumbitch. I mean, if you learn CAD, computer-assisted design, you can do it. Hey, James Hill, what's going on? This is Robert. Brian's back at the shop right now. But I'm so glad you got your order. We'll see. I'm hoping. We're still new as a business. We're approaching our 3rd year this coming January. Oh, no worries. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that there's a few of us. So Brian's in the shop. Justine's co-owner, and she helps run all the shipping and logistics. I'm Robert, and I do a lot of the social media and business outreach stuff. Sales, marketing. All of us work in the shop to different degrees. sanding, deburring, shipping, all that. I'll tell you this about small businesses. No one person can do it all. There's just not enough hours in the day to do it all. So you find some people you trust, and yeah, and all of us wear multiple hats. Even the regular employees wear multiple hats. You have people handle it. You see where people's strengths are, and you have people handle certain things. Because nobody has enough time to run a machine shop, do marketing, talk to customers, talk to clients and vendors and distributors, and do programming and machining and cleaning and running the shop and all of that. And then also hop on lives and talk to you fine folks. It makes sense now when I bring up something from past lives that it seems like they don't know what's going on. Yep, you gotta have a Mrs. Mrs. will help. Steel frame, what kind of steel? Oh, steel bars, these here. We mill down 17.4 stainless steel. We don't use 416R. A lot of slide companies use 416R, but us, Zev, Zafiri, Grey Ghost, we all use 17.4. Brownells used to, but they switched to 416. 416 is good gun steel, but you can do less with it. 17.4 is stronger, more corrosive resistant. So you can do cool things like this with it. Less likely to crack. I've seen some cool looking 416 slides, but they have cracked during certain cuts. Cracked in certain cuts. It gets recycled. Or rather scrapped. We get paid for it. Not a whole lot for it. We get paid for it. Make some money back on it. Lots and lots of steel chips. We fill up a dumpster with them. And then once it's near full, we call a local scrapyard and they come and pick it up. And they cut us a check. Ooh. Maybe we could do a steel frame someday based on the fire control unit setup, kind of like the RXM. Or maybe aluminum instead of steel. Aluminum would probably be the better call. James, eventually they might. I think what they'll do is they will probably provide support. Like if something on yours breaks, or if you need to get replacement parts, they'll still probably have those available for quite some time. But they'll probably end support after a number of years. OEM is something stronger than 416. I forget what Glock said it was. I'm not even sure if Glock has released it. .416 is often barrel steel. Let's see. All Glock states is that Glock uses high-quality carbon steel for its slides. So they're probably just not letting people know what alloy they're using. The most common gun steels, however, in the aftermarket are 17.4 and 4.16. And 17.4 is stronger. It's also more expensive and it's harder to work with, which is why a lot of shops use 4.16. Because 4.16 works. There's nothing wrong with it. Just 17.4 is better. I don't know what to do. Guess we should buy parts kits as inventory. You'll probably be fine with the aftermarket. There's plenty of companies making parts kits, like SCT, for example. We use their parts kits in our completes. Now, are all of the aftermarket ones as good as OEM? No. But there are going to be options available to you. Hey, I appreciate that, Green Hood. Not yet. We might do 34 slides in the future. We're going to see how 2026 treats us, because right now we're working on finishing the 26, and then after the 26, we're going to do the 43. Rubble Double, yes, currently just for the 19 and 17, but we'll expand as we continue to grow. We're working on the 26, we're trying to get the 43 after that. And I do want to do other companies' slides, but the downside of that is a lot of them are still under patent. If life doesn't throw another wrench at us, I'm hoping November. I'm hoping November for the 26. A little bit. We've thought a little bit about 20, or not 26. We've thought a little bit about 80% or 76% lowers made out of aluminum. Possibly with kind of like the RXM style where you could do a fire control unit. Actually, that'd be more than 76% or 80%. So basically just like an RXM frame without the fire control unit made out of aluminum. We've considered the idea. Hey, Martin. This veteran says no. Citizens should have guns. They should have more guns all the time. They should have cannons. You know why there's gun problems out there? A lot of broken families. A lot of problems that cities aren't addressing. Mental health issues. It's not the guns. I could take a box truck and turn it into a weapon and wipe a bunch of people out. Don't need a gun. But guns are a good balance, a check against the government, a check against crazy politicians. Some people out there are, they'll say things like the current administration is a bunch of Nazis and the current administration is going to round people up and put them into camps. Sure sounds like you should have the ability to resist that administration. Sure sounds like you should want to have some guns. Yeah, I remember Germany used to have a lot of problems. I don't think we'll take your advice on what you did to people without guns once upon a time. No offense, buddy. And I've served with some German troops overseas. Cool dudes, cool people. You guys are great. But when it comes to culture and things, America's just a little different, and I'm not going to take Europe's view on it too seriously. After what we saw historically, what Germans did to people, and what other Europeans did to people who didn't have guns and couldn't defend themselves. That is a personal problem, Martin. That sounds like a skill issue. That sounds like you didn't prepare and you weren't an adult and you did something stupid. If you can't control your firearms in your own home, that is a you issue. And you need to work on yourself. That sounds like a psychological problem. That sounds like a training problem. That sounds like a planning problem. That sounds like you can't trust yourself. That sounds like you can't trust your family. Those are things you need to work on about you, not the government needs to do for you. I would rather have the capability to take that person down or at least die trying. Then, of course, I'm different. I'm a veteran. I've gone overseas. I have weapons experience. Someone who breaks into this house is going to have one hell of a fight. And I encourage civilians to go out and train, to be part of gun clubs, so that they can do the same things. My fellow, now that I am a civilian again, my fellow civilians should be so well trained. They should be so well armed. And I don't agree with some of the European philosophy that leave your keys by the front door, they just want to steal your car. They're not going to hurt you. They're not going to rape your wife. I don't agree with that. The moment you have breached what is now my castle, you have forfeited your life because you care about my property more than you cared about your life. Well, that's because everyone closer to Russia is, afraid of being invaded. I think the Poles have some, good concerns considering their proximity. And of course, the Ukrainians have adopted loving guns. They kind of need it now. The funny thing is, Americans at one time used to be allowed to take guns to school. Why? Because we had things like machine shop classes, wood shop classes, and those classes would teach you how to clean, how to take care of, and how to fix problems with your firearms. And students would bring shotguns and rifles in their truck to school parking lots, and they would hunt before and after school, and yet there was not a mass of killings. What has changed is a cultural issue where we have not proposed, or we have not supported mental health, and we have not supported the nuclear family. It is a mental health issue, and it is a society issue that is ours and ours alone to deal with. It is an American issue that is ours to deal with, and quite frankly, is not Europe's concern. We do have to rein in some of our horrible cities. And we do have to promote better culture in raising a family. The reason we have some of the issues we have is poor mental health and then families not taking care of families. There's too many people that want to thrust off the responsibility of being a father or being a mother because they want to try to be friends to their children. You're a parent, you're not their friend. Take care of your children. Take care of your communities. There's too many people, especially in larger cities, that don't believe in taking care of their community or being a part of their community. That is why they have the problems they have. Hey, 15%, man. I appreciate you. And I go out and I volunteer. I clean up parks. I help veterans move. I help the elderly. And I see this all the time, that there are less and less people willing to take care of their communities. And that is a problem exclusive that, not exclusive just to America. Lots of countries have that problem. But it is a problem that we as Americans have to deal with. And it's really no concern of any other nation. But considering that you are protected under the American umbrella, again, I served alongside NATO forces, German troops, Norwegians, French, British, Canadian, Australian, so many. And my opinion, and I understand this is a biased one based on the units I served with, so many of the European forces that we did serve alongside, compared to our own, were ill-equipped, ill-trained, did not treat training seriously, especially the Spanish and the Turks. And you have an angry KGB wannabe right next door to you guys, and yet your citizenry is unarmed and pacified. So I would say that you should consider arming your citizens, that you should consider training, and you should do so in, how will I put it, an earnest and yet safe manner, because you should focus on the basics of firearm safety. There are children here that learn how to handle guns and yet have never hurt anybody, never shot anybody, never raised their weapon in anger. We have well over 300 million Americans, and the vast majority of them have never hurt anybody, to include the gun owners. Why? Because there are rules to firearm safety. There are rules to a society. There are cultural expectations that are to be adhered as a people and as a nation. And the vast majority of the people follow those rules and expectations, including the vast majority of gun owners. James Hill, those poor people in Israel 2 years ago should have had the means and weapons to protect themselves. Yes, a lot of Israelis do have military experience because they have a military obligation. I don't recall if Germany still has their military obligation. I think they do. But there should be enough people that have basic military training in Israel to help fend against that. But the problem is not enough people during that incident were armed and capable. Granted, they were at a festival. One wouldn't think they'd be there. But, I mean, I go everywhere armed. I go to the movies armed. Because you never know. If something happens, I'm available. Okay, I do remember the ones I talked to when I was deployed that they had mentioned that they had a military obligation. Now, nations that do have a military obligation do tend to have a leg up when it comes to personal defense over nations that do not have a military obligation. One, physical fitness. Two, their citizens have had access to and experience to firearms, at least in a small capacity of their life. That said, once that part of their life is over, they almost never have them ever again. So if something were to happen, they could potentially fall back on that information if the citizenry were called up to militia or called up to be an auxiliary to the armed forces. Then they might fall back on that training like riding a bicycle, but they still wouldn't have immediate access to it, just like what happened to Ukraine, where citizens were slaughtered, just like what happened in Israel, just like what happens into a lot of nations where their citizens have no capability to defend themselves. Yet, if you invade America, you are looking at the prospect that 1/3 to 1/2, and that is the lower estimated numbers. They might even be higher than that because we have no official registry of homes have firearms to resist any such invasion, that citizens could form militias and auxiliaries as needed. They would not need to be mustered into service and then issued weapons at an armory. They already have their weapons. So Americans are quite capable, should we face an invasion from any such nation, some foreign attack, that citizens could form their own militias and join auxiliaries and augment units from the National Guard or the reserves. Whereas in other nations, they have to be mustered and they have to then be issued weapons and gear. Even if they have training, they don't have it available. I disagree with police officers being unarmed. I will, however, give this. I have seen the training for German police, and I have seen the training for a few other nations for their police, and they do a damn good job. They take more into the education part of it, into law enforcement, and its application than we do. Ours is a paramilitary academy that has some legal training, and it's not enough. So our cops do need more training. They do need more education. And quite frankly, our politicians can never agree on funding it. And neither can the citizenry. But then again, the citizenry also doesn't think we should fund a lot of things. So our cops do need more training. I will give Europe this. They do train better cops. Now, if Europe had their training and education and then included American firearms specialities with their police departments, holy crap, European police would be amazing. Now, that said, the British police are a freaking joke. Their unarmed police are like clowns in a uniform. Let me go grab some more water. British police officers walking around in their yellow suits as they oppress free speech and religious symbols. And then they walk around and try to arrest people who 4v1 are getting their asses spanked. Like, the British cops are a freaking joke. We dream of the day of invasion in the South, yes. Have a good one, James Hill. Yeah, I feel bad for any nation that accidentally, parachutes into the South. Because it's just going to be, crazy rednecks and hillbillies and southern militias and banjos and rock music and frickin' crazy moonshine Molotovs and probably some automatic weapons fire. Because if anybody knows how to jerry-rig some stuff, it is the South. And the only reason I don't live in the South is because the food is too damn good. I would gain so much weight living in the South. And I miss the food, something terrible. But I could never live there because it's too good and I'd be some 400-pound SOB. The food's too damn good. And if none of y'all have ever had Southern food, please give it a try sometime. They're doing something right. Just, you better start working out all the time. And you better start doing it in some moderation, because damn. Right now, Sig Sauer is getting spanked by the American perception that they are a good firearm. That said, I had a Sig. I had an M17 when I was in the Army. I have one now. But their perception on them being a good firearm, at least for pistols, has been shaken a bit, unfortunately. Germany does make some outstanding weaponry. And I find it so surprising that they do. And yet they do not have, regular citizens just being able to shoot. Germany makes some awesome guns. I actually do own one. Yeah, I do own one. No, yeah, 2 German guns. So yeah, Sig, though this one was produced at the American factory. And then I do have an import from GSG, German sports guns. Though my favorite import is probably my Lee Enfield, chambered in .303 British from World War I. Alternatively, I do have, well, it's not an import, that one. Alternatively, my World War I Springfield, chambered in .30-06. It's insane how hard, you know what's funny? Okay, so suppressors or silencers, however your preference to them is, they are legal in many nations in Europe. They are illegal here in the United States. Unless you get, tax stamps and ridiculous background checks. That it's not so much that the background check takes a long time, it's that they're making you wait. It takes almost up to a year. Or it used to before some changes happened. I think it's funny that that's the one difference where many European nations are like, yeah, suppressors good for hearing protection. If you're hunting, you should have one. And we're just like, no, no, that somehow makes it crazy deadly. You can't have one. Our process, at least where I'm at, because it changes from state to state, our process is that I must go and present an ID with who I am. I must fill out a government form, and then they contact the FBI, and they run that information back to the FBI, and they say, hey, is he a criminal? Or is he wanted for anything? Or is he currently under investigation? And if all of those pop up as no, background check done. I get my gun. That's as simple as it is where I'm at. Other states make it a little harder. But my state, that's it. Oh, you're not a criminal? You're not wanted for anything? You're not under investigation? You're not on the list? Congratulations, here you go. Pay your money. Done and done. Other states require some different licensing, but that's about it. It's all roughly the same. Some want you to go take a firearms training course. The problem with those is they're government mandated courses and the government is making money on it. No. Not in my state. My state decided that once you are 18, correct that. Once you are 21, because I have not been 21 in some years, once you are 21, that you can conceal carry, so long as you are a lawful possessor. However, we do offer a license if we are traveling to other states that mandate a concealed carry. And the reason we changed the law for that, for our state, where we do not need a license, is because, if I remember the story correctly, a woman was being harassed by an ex-boyfriend, and she called the police, and she filed a restraining order against him, and yet he still continued to harass her. And so she was getting no support from the police, who basically told her they couldn't do anything until he did something, physical against her. And so she went out and bought a gun, but there was a waiting period. So she did everything she had to do. She was not a criminal. She passed the background check, and we had a waiting period. During the waiting period, the boyfriend broke into her home and murdered her. So after that, we got rid of our waiting period. Because, in our opinion, criminals are going to break the law anyway. Why are we restricting citizens if criminals are just going to conceal carry anyway? That was our thought process. And interestingly enough, crime went down. Because all of a sudden, criminals were afraid that whoever they might try to rob or assault was concealed carrying. And in my state, I'd say about 2/3 of the homes here have a gun. And yet there is no, out of our states, 6 million people? Not a bunch of us have been murdered. It's almost like armed society is a polite society. Is there still crime? Yes. But there's still crime everywhere. Like London, who doesn't have guns, has an insane amount of stabbings. And a lot of robberies. And a lot of, what do they call their guys? Highwaymen, where they just go out and rob people and accost people in the middle of the night. Crime is going to happen in every nation. It's just in different capacities. But the stabbings, oh my God, they have so many stabbings. The funny thing is, if you look at crime here in the United States, people will focus on firearms. However, and when it comes to crime, more people are killed by bludgeoning than they are by firearms. More people have been killed by hammers or by fists and feet than they have by a firearm. Per Department of Justice and FBI statistics. And when it is firearms, the majority of firearms are not some crazy assault weapon. The majority of the firearms that are used are pistols. The guns nobody wants to ban. A pistol. Well, except California. California has just banned Glock, so they hate Austria for some reason. The funny thing is, Glock does everything that California wants. If you get a modern Glock, the slide is serialized, the barrel is serialized, the frame is serialized. And yet, California wants those things, but has chosen to ban Glock. Not for anything Glock did wrong, but for something that criminals do. Glock did everything right. But criminals found a way, as criminals will always find a way. And so they said, okay, we're going to ban Glocks. Are criminals suddenly going to give up their Glocks? No. Are criminals suddenly going to stop stealing? No. So they've restricted citizens once again, and the criminals still have the tools that they need, and they are still capable of getting the tools that they need, and they are still going to go out and be criminals because switches are already illegal. It doesn't stop criminals from using them. Certain actions are already illegal. It doesn't stop criminals from being criminals. No, there is no saving California. California needs a complete overhaul as a state. And I actually feel bad for foreigners who visit California because California police will pull foreigners over and admonish them for not having a California driver's license. By all means, look up YouTube videos on it. California state troopers and any of their traffic police are horrible. It's honestly just revenue generation, probably because California is out of money all the time. Like, California was big on energy production and electric vehicles until they realized, oh crap, we're not going to get that money we need from gas. So they had to figure out how to tax people differently and even more. So California wants to go all electric vehicles, right? Yeah, so of course California has traffic enforcement out enforcing the stupidest laws that other states don't even understand why it's against the law because California needs revenue generation. And they do it to a lot of foreigners. I've seen a lot of Canadians get hemmed up visiting California. And they're just like, that's okay, we're just going to impound your car. And it's like, what's a foreigner going to do with their cars impounded? Hey, racer, what's going on? Like, you've completely wrecked them. But yeah, there are legitimately California cops that seem to not recognize that other states have driver's licenses and other countries have driver's licenses and that they have regulations to go through and things to go through so that they can drive in the United States. California just doesn't seem to recognize it. They're a joke of a state. This is our OD camo. It is H Series Cerakote with Desert Sand, Mil-Spec OD Green, and Glock FDE. The slide itself is an SM19 Turbo. Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite slides. Second to the Leonidas. Let's see. Yeah, it's funny that we were talking about Germany for a little bit. Our family actually hails from Germany. Back in, about 1733, I think is when we left. And where were we? We were in, I'm going to butcher the name. We were in Baden-Württemberg. I'm butchering it, but Baden-Württemberg, Germany, about 1700 to 1740, somewhere thereabouts. And then we came over to Pennsylvania. And then we fought the British. Fought in the Revolution. And now we make gun parts. The Leonidas, I don't have one with me, but I can show you one. Here we go. One moment. I'll pull one up. In Arizona, no, there are no limits on the ammunition I can have. I can have whatever ammo I want. Including incendiary ammunition. Some states have restrictions because of, fire reasons and what have you. Here we go. Here is an SM19 Leonidas in graphite black Space Worn. That one's been distressed. Here's one in Periwinkle, I do believe it is. Periwinkle or NRA Blue. That one for sure is Periwinkle. That one is burnt bronze with a copper PVD barrel. Oh, that's a Viper. There we go. Bright purple with a rainbow PVD barrel. And I want to say that one is habanero red. Whoop. Oh, yes, I do. I often carry hollow point. Primarily reason being is that most of the defensive targets I believe I might encounter are likely going to have soft armor to no armor. So I use hollow point ammunition when I'm carrying out and about. Particularly, I like Hornady. So, you know, something like that. The problem with not using hollow point and is over penetration. So let's say you have an assailant who's attacking you, and you use jacket, or you don't use hollow point. You decided to use, you know, full metal jacket, ball ammunition, traditional ammunition, ammunition you might use at a range or something. Target shooting is that, say you strike that target and you hit them in a thin or, you know, soft spot of the body, and it over penetrates and it goes through. So let's say you hit them in, you know, the chest, and it goes out through the back, and then it continues to travel and hits somebody's car. You are responsible, quite possibly, for that round hitting that car, or maybe it hits another person or hits a dog. So, hollow point ammunition, designed to stop inside the body, designed to not penetrate, is preferable for soft targets. So you got to think about things like that when you're in a defensive situation, because if you choose not to use hollow points, it could cause over penetration and damage someone else's property or injure someone else. So you always have to be aware of your backdrop. You always have to be aware of your target. And yes, exactly, that's why police use hollow points. So you've always got to be aware of those things. For example, a lot of gun owners who were at a shooting incident years ago, the man's name was Jared Loeffner, and he shot Gabrielle Giffords, a judge, as well as several other people. And there were people who were there were armed, and they were criticized for not taking him out. And one of the persons who explained why he did not shoot was because he could not get a clear shot. And he was afraid of accidentally hitting someone else, because there were people running, people panicking. And that is a legitimate reason to not discharge your weapon. If you do not have a clear line of sight, if you do not have positive identification on your target, if you don't believe you can hit your target, you do not shoot. If you think you are going to accidentally wound someone else or hurt someone else, you do not shoot. You get positive identification of target. You be aware of your line of sight. You be aware of your sight on target. And if you cannot hit your target, you do not shoot. It's just that simple. Some people think it's like a video game. No, shooting is a skill. You have to practice it. You have to train with it. And if you don't feel up to the task of shooting at a target, you don't shoot. Can you show me, and can you do that camo in a nicer slide? Oh, the Leonidas, or... We haven't done a Leonidas in camo yet. Probably could. It'd be a little difficult with the style of porting that it has. I'm looking for a slide to go on a Matrix Arms bronze frame with that camo looks sick. Yeah, we've got a few different camo options. This one being our OD camo, but we also have a woodland camo that has Jesse James Eastern Front green on it instead of mil-spec green. We've also got an Arctic camo, which has or winter camo rather, has Arctic white, battleship gray, sniper gray, and graphite black. Oh yes, I've got several revolvers. I wish I could show them, but YouTube has live restrictions on showing complete firearms and you touching them. But one of my favorites is a Ruger New Vaquero. It's made in New Hampshire, sadly. I wish it was made in Arizona. But it is an old cowboy revolver, chambered in .45 long Colt. Very fitting for any Arizonan, I think. Here we go. Here's a picture of it. And then I've got a few other revolvers as well. Oh, thank you, Racer. Of course, when I'm out, target shooting and stuff, I don't use hollow points. I use FMJs, ball ammunition. Any 500 Smith & Wesson revolvers? No, I've shot them before. I can say I do not like shooting them. A little too heavy. A little too much bang for the buck there. But I have shot them. I'm glad I did shoot it. It's not something I really have an interest in owning, personally. I have also shot other 50 cal weapons from when I was in the military. Those are fun, but they're also automatic. Or in the case of the Barrett, the M107, semi-automatic rifle. That one was fun. Yeah. The M2 and M2A1 Browning machine gun. Chambered at 50 BMG. Yep, shot that. I've shot the M107. I have shot 50 Action Express and 500 Smith & Wesson. My favorite, actually, of all of those to shoot was the M107, that Barrett 50 cal rifle. That was something, every shot, because we're laying there on the dirt, and the force of the shot would create a dome of dust around your body. Yeah, there's a camo Viper slide. I mean, I have one Viper with me right now. This one is an H Series Gold. And I've actually shot this one, too. You can see with the wear there. We haven't done one in Arctic, I don't think. But if you want one in Arctic, you could always email us, and we could probably do it. Let's see here. Let's type in winter. Winter. And I always say Arctic because of the... Let's see. The only one we've done in winter camo is the Zoom, but we could do others in it. And then for camo, let's see. What Vipers do we have? Let's see. There's a Turbo. There's a Zoom. Oh, here we go. Here's a Viper in camo. And... Man, we need to do more Vipers in camo. But yep, here we go. This one is in woodland camo. The green is Jesse James green. Oh, there we are. But we could do it in the other camo styles. Just feel free to message us. That one runs at about 210. Ammo Alchemist, what's going on, man? Oh, yes, we actually make the slides. So we mill out 17-4 stainless steel, and we turn them into the slides. The algorithm doesn't like me tonight, Ammo. Usually I get dozens to a couple hundred people in here, and Nope. But we are just coming fresh off that ban that we got appealed correctly. They I don't know if you heard that, Ammo Alchemist, but the green screen, they said because we were using a green screen that we were touching live firearms. And so when we had it appealed, they were like, oh, yeah, you're right, our bad. But then they still suspended us for 24 hours, even though we were acquitted, proving that we didn't do anything wrong. We still lost live access for 24 hours. So I think the algorithm's not liking us because of that. So we're going to have to work it back up again, unfortunately. It is what it is. The black one is intended patina then? Yes. This is called distressing, where we purposely distress the slide so it has wear. Now, normally what you would do is to get wear like this, you would, constantly just use your firearm. But some people like the worn look without having to use their firearm that much. So, for example, I have a Ruger here, made in Arizona. We'll pull this off here. Okay, so this one has natural wear. You can see from front to here from the holster, from being drawn. I used to use this a lot. And then it's got that scratch there just from use. You can roll through it, you'll see more wear. And you get that wear just from use. But some people like the look of it worn without having to use it themselves. Yep, you can see some wear through here. Though the neat thing is the wear patterns are random. The way we make these, no two slides look exactly the same. Yeah, people who shoot a lot, their guns get worn. They get that worn look quite a bit. And this one here is starting to get some wear. It's hard to tell because of its style, but you can see a little bit here where it's wearing through, and that's from holster. From me just putting the slide in the holster and removing it during range trips. So you'll get that wear just from going in and out. And that's natural. Some people who are newer to firearms, they're like, well, hey, why is it wear? I don't like that. It's like, it's going to happen. Firearms are a machine. They're going to wear. Signs of wear are signs that you're using it. What was that old saying? Something about never trust a knight in shining armor because they've never seen battle. Well, there you have a gun that doesn't have any wear. Shows you've never used it. You've never trained with it. And this one I put 800 rounds through. It's got a little bit of wear. Yeah, a gun without a scratch, it doesn't make sense. Your barrels are going to wear. You can see some wear on this one. FV Ordnance, he does shooting competitions. I guarantee his guns have wear. You're not wrong, Racer. And some people, like when they get our blem slides, they're not wrong. I just sold 3 blem slides today. There's almost no wear on them. It's just that the blem, there's some people who love a perfect product right off the get-go. One of them has a scratch on it. One of them has a weird scuff. And one of them had where the Cerakote didn't cure correctly. If they go shoot it, though, no one's ever going to notice. Just take it to the range and dump a few hundred rounds. No one's ever going to notice that blem. Except one. There's one that has a tool mark. And so a tool mark might be like where the end mill was cutting this front grip serration, and then the tool broke and then scratched the slide. And because it's spinning at such a high speed, it scratched and gouged the slide, or, you know, whatever. I don't have one available with me that I can... Actually, I might. Hold on. I might be able to pull up an image. Show you guys what I'm talking about. Let's see. It should be one of the gold slides. Not you, not you. Too far back. Too far forward. There she is. Found it. Okay. That is a tool mark with Cerakote over it. So the end mill, when it's passing through, broke and gave it that mark. The slide is still perfectly fine. Will still function. No problem. But there's a permanent blemish on there that we can't get rid of because the tool broke while it was making this cut. And so we knock off the price. And for shooters like yourself, you're not going to be bothered by that. You're just going to go and use it and run it and make your build. And, you know, you saved yourself $50. It's called character, yeah. And then you can obviously identify that slide as your own. You can say, hey, that's mine. I can spot it. Why? Because of this. Same thing with my Ruger that I like. That scratch. That scratch has been there since the first year I had this. And a buddy did it by mistake. And so now it's just part of a story, and I get to give him crap for it for the rest of his life. Yeah, as long as it doesn't affect the function or safety, it doesn't matter. What he did was the retention pin. He didn't have it seated completely, and then when he rode the slide forward, it scratched it. So now it's just a funny story I have. But some people are like, oh my god, my slide's ruined. Like, nah, it's just, you know, it still works. I've shot this gun for years. I think I've had this gun for 10, 11 years now. Still runs just fine. Then next live, I'll change that coin out to something else. I got a whole bunch of them. Different units I was with and stuff. Or assisted. Maybe we'll get lucky and somebody will recognize one of the coins I put on here. Be like, hey, I know that unit. Whoop, dropped it. That's why I love guns. They hold their value and take care of it. Yeah, exactly. A lot of them hold their value. Oh, no, this one's American. This is a U.S. Army infantry unit. 1st Battalion, 158th Bushmasters. They served in World War II. All the way up to now. Even longer, actually. Back to just after the Civil War. They were formed just after the Civil War. They adopted the snake, if I remember, during World War II when they were in the Pacific. Or when they were doing their training. I forget. It might have been during their training. Because they had these snakes, Bushmasters. I'm going to have to look this up. It's been so long. And then when they were in Panama. Yep. That's where they encountered the snake, the Bushmaster snake, when they were in Panama doing training. Okay. Yep, I did 10. My brother did 6. One of the other guys we had working in the shop was 4 in the Marine Corps. We were both Army. We had a sailor. She did 3 or 4. Not in the shop anymore, but yeah. I figure what the heck. Plus, it's a nice little showpiece, you know. Hold it up there with various slides and whatnot. I'll have to decide which one I'm going to do on the next one. Let's see. How about for the next one? There we go. We'll do this one. We'll do that one next. Maybe. What's the rendering of? Yeah, we'll put that one up on the next one. Oh, this one doesn't want to sit. There we go. I got this one alongside some Polish troops, interestingly enough. Yeah, we use stencils from Tactical Penguin to do like the lightning, the tiger stripes, the camo. Oh, a topograph. Okay, interesting. No, because we don't make the stencils ourselves. It's something that we get from Tactical Penguin. We have debated doing a topographical thing, and we wondered occasionally once we get a laser engraver if we can do topographical designs. I don't know. I think this one's cooler, but this one was fun. We had a joint little thing with Polish and American troops. Oh, I see. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we're not 100% into custom work just yet. We'd like to do it sometime in the future as we continue to grow. I wish I could remember which unit it was, because I only met them briefly. But it was this battalion. My unit, I was attached to the 101st Airborne Division at the time. 101st Airborne Division Sustainment Brigade. And we had Polish troops there and American troops there. And there was a Polish-American troop. And the whole thing was around them. And anyway, I got a coin for it. So yeah, on the next live, I'll use that coin. That'll be the one I show off. What the heck? Just a little conversation piece, maybe to get people asking questions. Oh, right on. Our family split. Let's see. So the German side of the family moved here in the 1730s, I think. And the not the American, the British side of the family moved here in 1632. So my family has been, at least on one side, in America for almost 400 years. I'm American as it gets. Despite being Irish, German, English, Dutch, I think Norman French. Oh, yeah. Yep, and both sides of the family fought in the Revolution. Some fought in the War of 1812. Some fought in the Civil War, I think. World War One, World War Two for sure. Vietnam, Desert Storm, and of course the War on Terror. Yep. Oh, and of course the 7 Years' War, before the American Revolution. Yep. Also known as the French and Indian War. Yep, we've been around a good long while. And have lived and worked from the East Coast to the West Coast, all across the country. Oh, yeah, a lot of people have some weird, crazy history with their families. Just something you got to look up. And you can use the Library of Congress, too, to look up military records. If you've got deceased family members that you just don't know the stories of, if you have at least a little bit of information, you can request some of the information from the Library of Congress if they have military records available. Sadly, a lot of the Army records were destroyed in a fire back in the 70s. Today, everything's all scanned in, but there still might be something available. The Navy and Marine Corps records are still good. A lot of history in the Library of Congress. Well, that's probably where I'm going to end it. I'm going to go and cook some dinner and relax, and I'll be back up again tomorrow to do another live. So we'll see if we can get the algorithm starting to love us again. But thank you guys so much for joining us. Thanks for the likes and subs. Thanks for checking out our slides, as well as Glocktober, which ends on October 31st. So October 31st will be the last day for it. Maybe if you're a little late, it'll roll over into November 1st a little bit, time zones and whatnot. But plan on October 31st is the last day. 15 to 20% off strip slides. Thanks for checking us out. And as always, stay 2A every day.